of market changes over the past 30 years. My dad, who was also an entrepreneur, often said, "It's easy to make money, it's difficult to keep it." I didn't expect a romantic view of leadership from John, and I didn't get one. Instead, I got a reply that lingered in my mind, one that kept coming back to me when others made grander claims. He simply said, "The difference between me and the directors in my business is that each of them, finance, sales, purchasing, operations, human resources, HR, etc., is better at their jobs than me. However, I could do any of their jobs, and none of them could do each other's. I am better than average at all the key functions of the business." He went on to say, "Your success is determined not by how good you are at one of these functions, but by how bad you are at one thing, your Achilles heel, if you will. The area in which you have not gained at least moderate competence will be your downfall," and added, "If you don't understand these core functions sufficiently well, then your directors will try and get things around you simply because it is easier for them to do so. To put it bluntly, unless you know what you are doing, they will try and bullshit you. This wider knowledge is therefore essential to gain your directors' respect and for them to trust your judgment. You have the wider perspective. Allowing them to become the power behind the throne can be very dangerous. They must share all important information with you and seek your counsel on any significant decision. You always have the right to be given the final call on your business." These words chimed with my experience. On occasions, my finance director will look at me in a certain way, and I am pretty sure that he's saying to himself, "Do I have to tell him this?" After a resigned sigh, he will then tell me whatever it is. We then have a discussion, after which I am quite happy to go with his view if he can explain why. If I wasn't competent at finance and attuned to how finance people think and feel, I would not be able to do this. I found John's approach very illuminating, but I still felt something was missing. Another person I talked to was a consultant called Sarah, who was passionate about leadership development. Leaders, she told me, build great teams and develop other leaders. She also said, there isn't a simple leadership mold. It is essential for each leader to develop themselves to become a better, but still authentic, version of themselves. Other interviewees talked about vision and the importance of both having it in the first place and keeping hold of it when times get tough. They talked of the ability to generously share a vision, beyond charisma, and to create a culture that transcended their own personality. I couldn't buy totally into John's model of someone who simply had nearly the abilities of all their top people. Leaders have to do and be other things too. New things that they hadn't had to do or be before they accepted the calling of leadership, like developing talent or holding vision. John, I feel, did these new things well, but didn't realize it. One of the many discoveries I made from my discussions is that people often have only partial insight into what they do and how they do it. But what are these things exactly? Another topic that has fascinated me for a long time is personal development, taking ownership of our continuing education and using that learning to transform our lives. That began in 1995 when my father had a heart attack. Up until then, I had been focused on building my business and not really been reflecting on myself or the deep psychology of others. But this event made me step back and ponder the bigger picture. I received coaching, which led me to get very into neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and then transactional analysis, TA. In 2000, I started parallel careers as a coach myself and as an NLP trainer. Surprisingly, as I spent more time focusing on these skills and delegated the core functions of my business,